Have you ever checked your investment account and just felt stuck? Like you're putting in all this effort, but you're just crawling forward? Well, what if I told you that building wealth isn't magic? It's pure mathematics. And there are three specific tipping points, three net worth milestones where everything changes and your financial growth just shifts into overdrive. All right, let's get into it. So when you first start saving and investing, it really does feel like this perfectly predictable, but man, painfully slow process. You put $1 in, your net worth goes up by $1. It's logical, sure, but it can be so discouraging, can it? And you know what? That feeling is 100% valid in the beginning. But the people who really build serious wealth, they understand a secret that completely flips this entire idea on its head. Because the reality of how money actually grows is way, way more exciting.
See, your net worth doesn't grow in a straight line, like you're climbing a staircase one step at a time. No, it grows like a snowball rolling down a really big mountain. It starts off small, almost unnoticeable, but then it picks up speed and then more speed until it becomes this massive, unstoppable force of nature. Now, the engine behind this whole snowball effect is something you've probably heard of: compound interest. It's the simple but incredibly powerful idea that your money starts working for you, earning returns, and then those returns start earning their own returns. Honestly, those who get this build wealth. Those who don't, well, they end up working for their money their entire lives. So this brings us right to our first major tipping point on that mountain. This is the foundation. It's the most challenging part for sure, but it is also the most critical stage of your entire journey.
And that number is $100,000. Now, most people think, okay, $100,000, that's just 10% of the way to becoming a millionaire. And they are completely, totally wrong. This isn't just a number. It's the solid base that's going to support all the super fast growth that comes next. And what's really fascinating here is the breakdown you're looking at. To get to this first 100 grand, assuming you invest about $500 a month, it takes nearly 8 years. 8 years! And look at that ratio. During that whole time, your contributions are doing most of the heavy lifting. The market growth from compounding, it's really just getting warmed up. It is so easy to get discouraged during this phase and just give up. I mean, 8 years is a long time. But you have to realize that by hitting this first milestone, you've done it. You've pushed that massive boulder all the way to the top of the hill. The toughest part is officially over. And now, the real magic is about to begin. From this point on, your money starts working so much harder for you. This is where that snowball really starts to pick up some serious momentum, and your main job is just to stay out of its way and let it grow. Okay, just look at this timeline to see how this thing builds. It took almost 8 years to get to that first $100,000, right? But from there, look, it only takes about 5 more years to double it to $200,000. And then another 5 years to double it again to $400,000. You can literally see the time it takes to add wealth getting shorter and shorter. It's incredible. And this chart just perfectly illustrates that shift. By the time you hit $400,000, look at the change in the balance. Your contributions are now the much smaller piece of the pie. The market growth is almost 3 times that amount. Compound interest has gone from being a passenger in the car to being the dominant force that's driving your wealth. Okay, so this brings us to our second major milestone, which I like to call the freedom point. And this one isn't just about the numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about what those numbers can actually do for your life. This is where money starts to buy you real freedom. And that number is right around $650,000. So why this specific amount? Because this is the point where your assets can start generating a really significant life-altering income all on their own. Let's make that real. With an 8% rate of return, a portfolio of $650,000 can generate $52,000 a year in passive income. Just think about that for a second. That is a full-time salary that just shows up whether you get out of bed in the morning or not. So the crucial difference here is how this money is earned. A job requires you to trade your time for money. You've got a commute, a boss, office politics, the whole thing. But income from your assets, it works for you 24/7. Suddenly, losing a job goes from being a catastrophe to just an inconvenience. And this right here is what real wealth is about. It's not about buying fancy cars. It's about having choices. When your basic living expenses are covered by your investments, you can take that entrepreneurial leap you've been dreaming of. You can go learn a new skill. You can travel the world while you're still young enough to actually enjoy it. You get to design your own life.
And that finally brings us to the third and final milestone, the mindset shift. This isn't just about hitting a financial goal, it's a complete psychological transformation in your relationship with money and what you believe is possible.
Hitting that $1 million mark, I mean, it's an incredible feeling. It's validation. You've proven the system works. But the people who truly understand wealth know that this isn't the finish line. It's more like you've just graduated to a whole new level of the game. Because from this point on, the math just becomes almost ridiculous. To get from 1 million to 2 million, your portfolio has to double, a 100% gain. But to get from 2 to 3 million, it only needs a 50% increase. From 3 to 4, just a 33% boost. Every single million after that becomes mathematically easier and easier to get. It's wild. So let's bring this all back home. Let's talk about your financial journey. What does all this mean for you? It means understanding that the path is not a straight line, and the hardest steps always come first. And it means you absolutely have to have a long-term perspective. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, yeah, but what about market crashes? It's a totally valid concern. But for the long-term, consistent investor, market downturns are actually an opportunity. When prices drop, your regular contributions are just buying more shares on sale. And when the market inevitably recovers, all those extra shares become incredibly valuable. So there you have it. 3 tipping points that completely transform your financial life. The math doesn't lie, even if it does require some patience. So the only question left is the one right here on the screen. The time is going to pass anyway, so are you going to put that snowball in motion?